Guys, this is the secret of cancellation. Are you ready for this? It's a participation sport.
I saw this clip from TMZ of all things, where the main guy at TMZ, I don't know if you'd recognize him if you saw him, right? The guy who runs TMZ and hosts it. I don't.
Yeah, Bob something.
I don't know, but
Can't remember.
They had the creators of the movie Airplane on for an interview, which Airplane is thought of as an all-time comedic classic. It's campy, it's funny, it pushes things.
And more importantly, the creators of The Naked Gun and Police Squad.
Yeah, man, it led to many opportunities, which is great. So these guys' names, the creators are Jerry Zucker and Jim Abrams, and there's one scene in particular during this interview. It's about an 8-minute interview, obviously edited down, but I wanted to talk about a 90-second clip here where they talk about one scene in particular in Airplane, and that is the jive talk scene, right? Which people today would find that insensitive, right?
So when you did this movie, I mean, it's so funny because I think about it all the time. I mean, that scene in particular.
We'll get to that scene.
You couldn't do that today.
Okay, so they open up talking about you couldn't make this today. What are you talking about? And so the line has been put in the sand. Right? Here it is. Let's continue.
And I'm wondering if that was it didn't occur to me back then.
For those who don't know, we're talking about the jive talk scene
with Barbara Billingsley.
Yes.
So was there discussion even way back then about, gee, can we push the envelope this far? Or was comedy so fundamentally different that you could do anything as long as there was humor as the undertone?
I don't think we've ever worried about good taste, Harvey. You know, but we really then that jive talk was popular. We'd all seen the movie Shaft, and we couldn't understand anything that they were saying. But it occurred to us that we were the clueless ones. And I actually think we could do this today, except that jive is no longer current. But when this came up, black audiences loved it.
You're right. You could do it today.
Okay. So in the span of like 45 seconds, we went from there's no way you could do this today. Yep. What are you talking about? This is insane. This idea of like, this kind of pushes boundaries. And these people were like, well, yeah, we could, but we would just make sure that it's relevant to today. And then they come back and like, oh, actually, yeah, you could do it today. Yep. And I thought this is such an interesting metaphor because when people say, oh, you can't talk about that, you go, well, why can't I? And they go, well, I guess you can. You know,
you can talk about anything if you don't give a fuck.
Right.
That's really what it comes down to. That's guys, this is the secret of cancellation. Are you ready for this? It's a participation sport. It requires both sides to participate in order to permit the cancellation. You have to kowtow, you have to apologize, you have to appear guilty. Joe Rogan's a classic example of this, right? They tried to cancel the shit out of him not long ago. What was it, like a year ago? On Spotify, tried to get all his stuff taken down and whatever. And he never kowtowed. He offered kind of a limp-wristed, if people are offended about that, I guess that's a shame. But he didn't walk back any of his remarks at the end of the day. So he didn't participate in the cancellation. Ergo, it didn't stick, and he wound up making more money than anyone has ever made before in podcasting, right?
Right.
If you refuse to participate in it and you're unrepentant and you continue on course, like if you don't break stride, they lose. That's how that works.
1000%, right? You have to. I've said that all along. Like you can only be canceled if you care to be canceled, right? And if people come in, oh, you can't do this, just get out of here. Leave me alone. Just if you just keep pushing to the side. But as soon as you start bending that knee and like that's when you lose. You decide when you lose, not other people, which is absolutely insane. But
I have a question about jive. Is that the same as jive talking by Bee Gees?
Sorry, we got to clip that. I have a question about jive. You're going to ask one of the whitest men on planet Earth.
Yeah, right. Oh
There's a
my
song
God.
by the Bee Gees called Jive Talking. So as soon as they said the word
Yes.
jive, I was like, is that what they're talking about in the song?
It is.
Okay,
It is.
listen, I love the Bee Gees. I was like, oh, Bee Gees. So,
I think
yeah,
we have
anyway.
the title of today's podcast, by the way. I think it's Jive Talking.
Or just, I have a question about jive. Like,
Right.
Blabs, have you ever heard the expression like "you jive turkey"? You ever heard that?
No.
Ever watch the Dirty Harry movie, Sudden Impact? You
No.
a jamf. What's that stand for? You a jive ass mother. Forget I asked.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my God. See, Blabs doesn't know anything happened before the year 2000, which
1996, okay?
is okay.
Those
Get it
were the
right.
before times.
Yeah.
It's just so fascinating to see. And this is TMZ. Once again, this is a span of, like I said, 90 seconds where they just totally flipped. Like, oh yeah. So it's such a great lesson. I love everything about it. It's great. If you enjoyed that clip, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Would greatly appreciate that. So you can find more clips on the channel. And of course, come join us live Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time for our live Side Scrollers podcast. We would love to see you there.